Just so you guys know, I have a discount code for 20% off of anything on KUBE's site and a 50% discount code for any KUBE with D2 steel. So that's a huge discount. I'll put the discount code down in the description for you guys to save 20% off on everything on the site or 50% off on anything in D2. Today we are taking a first look at the new KUBE Blackout. And I know this one's not blacked out, but they actually do have a blacked out version. They have 3 different versions of this. It is an M390 steel, and I do gotta say that KUBE has been doing a phenomenal job with their premium knives, with their budget knives period, just like with knives in general. They've been doing a really good job for a long time now, but recently they've been doing these titanium frame lock models that are extremely well done. They seem like they all have a very consistent braking action or detent that is very addicting. They put really good access to the lock bar here with really good texturing as well. I always love to see that. The thumb studs are nice and grippy and it's very well placed. And then obviously you have the hole deployment that you can reverse flick, thumb roll, whatever. The blade is in my opinion, a very useful blade shape. It's almost like a spear point. It's a drop point, but it's very close. You can see the center of the pivot. It is very close to the center line with the tip, which means it's going to be good for utility cuts, poking, and slicing is going to be just fine. It has a drop point blade, and then this hole deployment that kind of ramps up right there on the back and the front of it. Sharpening tool and plunge grind is not bad. It's not horrible. At least they gave you something. I'll give them that. And then the stop pin lands here, which I'm glad it's not here. It's back here. So that's a good thing. It's out of the way of the edge and of you sharpening it. The titanium frame lock has a nice chamfer around the edge that's really nice. Titanium backspacer, lots of milling on the inside to bring down that weight relieving. And then it has the cutouts for the lock bar on the outside. Typically, I prefer frame lock or titanium frame locks for the cutouts to be on the inside if they're not a bolster lock. It does have a titanium mill pocket clip with a decent ramp and decent tension. Should work for the majority of jeans or pockets, no problem. T8 hardware all the way around. I think even the steel lock bar insert is a T8. Yeah, love to see that. That really shows you that they really listen and they care about their knives and how people are enjoying them, because a few years ago, you typically did not see any T8s for body screws or steel lock bar inserts or anything like that. They were always T6s. And the problem with that is that a T6 is far more likely to strip out and for you to have issues. With T8s, they're a lot less likely. It can still happen, but far less likely. I've barely ever stripped out any T8s, but T6s, I couldn't tell you how many. Now, back to this detent, man. So crispy. And then, like I said, good access to the lock bar. Very smooth on that drop. It is very glassy. Like I was saying about the detent, you can't hear it, I guess, not as much as I feel it, but it's very nice. It's a nice, good braking detent, not too strong, not too light. It feels just right where you can easily slow roll it. You can easily get pressure and thumb flick it with some power or reverse flick. So phenomenal action. And because the clip being where it's at, well, at least for me, my finger naturally falls on the clip. If I put my finger on the lock bar, I can still do it. Wow, I thought I wasn't going to be able to. So for lefties, you can still get this, or still, deploy it without locking yourself out of the knife. Because typically if you put pressure on the lock bar, you're not going to be able to open up the knife. With this one, you have plenty of leverage to do it. Ergonomically, in the hand, great size. This isn't a large knife. It's 3.1 inch blade, so it's a full-size knife by most standards, but you can get a full grip, but it's not big. It's not big at all. I have just enough where this thing still fits right in my palm. So this is something that you can, one, use like a full-size knife, but two, it's gonna carry and not be a, you know, a super large knife to where people are like, what are you doing? What are you carrying? Not that a lot of us care, but you know, I think a lot of people love this size knife. I think that this is probably the most popular size among knife carriers, knife users, and so on. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people that like small knives and a lot of people that like big knives, but this is a nice happy medium area. And because it doesn't have a regular flipper tab here, you have a little bit more room, because if it did have a flipper tab, you'd be back here and then it'd be more, you know, a little tighter. But since there isn't one, you can choke all the way up to that edge. No play any direction. KUBEY does a really good job. Nice solid lockup. They do a good job with their lock face geometry. I've had a ton of KUBEYs and typically they do a pretty damn good job. So shout out to KUBEY. As far as negatives go, there's really not a lot here. The one thing I would say is that the cutout for the lock bar, I wish was on the inside so it doesn't interrupt underneath the clip. They did knock down the edges a little bit, so, you know, it's better than it could be. The clip has, you know, decent tension. So, you know, it's fine. You know, it's relatively smooth, but maybe with some super thick jeans, it might be a little tight. Other than that, you know, this thing is super smooth. Very well built, no play in the pivot, no detent lash, lockup is rock solid. There's no lock stick, nice and centered, very comfortable in the hand. The geometry, not the thinnest geometry, but it's also not thick. This is something that I think most people would be just fine with, and actually, so a lot of people would probably prefer, because it's not, you're not going to have to worry about it micro chipping or anything like that. Hopefully not, you know, as long as the heat treat's good. But what I mean is that, you know, the geometry's not so thin that you're gonna have to worry about it, but it's also not so thick that it's not gonna cut really well. So it's literally the happy medium, something you'd want a work knife to be to some extent. Price, I would, you know, KUBEY does a great job, and they do a great job in a lot of cases at a price that's so good. Then sometimes they have models that are a little bit more. Maybe that's because they have designers that they have to pay, and I do understand that. So, you know, everybody's got to get paid. I get that. And saying that, this price is not bad. This is still a phenomenal price. M390 titanium hardware, done very well. I'm not complaining about the price at all. But they are able in some cases to do it even more affordably, which is really nice, and it feels really good when you can get that. This one is available right now. I will link it down in the description. There's 3 different versions, and I need to, one of these days here pretty soon, I need to put together an entire video of my titanium frame lock KUBEYs, because I wouldn't want to do my whole entire KUBEY collection because I have a lot, but it would be cool to do all the titanium frame locks because they have some really cool designs and they're very well done. They have a couple models that are budget models that also they've made premium models out of, which, you know, I was saying when they made the budget model that they need to make a premium model out of, and when they wound up doing that, my goodness. If a knife is going to be extremely good as a budget knife, it's going to be great as a premium knife. If you guys like this type of content, I'm going to put some cards up on the screen. I'll also put a card up on the screen that is going to feature multiple knives in one video, just in case if you want to check out some videos where, you know, it has more than one knife, so you can kind of, you know, choose from, you know, a bunch of different knives instead of one. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.